Hi, everyone. So we're going to be talking about violence and the media. The goals for this session are understanding the effect of media on young children and how violence then impacts the classroom. We're going to review mistaken behavior and violence by levels and hopefully, gain more understanding of our need to support children and their families. This week, we will be discussing ways in which violent media impacts children's development and behavior. Studies show that children who watch violent TV or play violent video games are more likely to engage in aggressive behaviors. Children act out what they see and hear in their play. They develop scripts that guide their behavior based on the actions they see others engaging in. This not only impacts their social or moral development, but also their intellectual and emotional development. Children from an early age are developing worldviews based on all interactions and situations they encounter. Does TV violence impact a child's ability to problem solve? Absolutely. Children imitate what they see, some children more than others, especially depending on how adults and peers in their environment engage with media. TV geared towards adults and even children's cartoons show problem solving using violent measures. Maybe you've watched The Roadrunner or Tom and Jerry. These characters smack each other across the face in response to something that has happened. This can send the message that it's okay to strike out and hurt others when you are angry or hurt or needing to problem solve. This graphic shows the major causes of serious mistaken behavior: difficulty in managing emotions, avoidance of intimacy, provocative behavior, disturbance in the attachment process, effects on cognition and learning, are all results of violence in the classroom or can lead to violence in the classroom. Studies show that children exposed to repeated television or video game violence can become desensitized to violence, meaning that the more they see, it is less likely they are able to be disturbed by it. Children can develop conditions ranging from aggressive behavior to increased anxiety when exposed to media violence. Violence seen on television can desensitize children to real human pain and suffering, possibly causing them not to be able to make that connection between their actions and the way that their actions impact another. Children may have difficulty differentiating between entertainment and reality. And if you remember the early childhood learner, they are often egocentric thinkers. They tend to confuse appearances, the way things look, with reality, the way things are. If you can remember that example of holding up your thumb in front of the moon, and an egocentric early learner thinker is going to think, my thumb is bigger than the moon, where in reality, the moon is bigger than their thumb, right? But that's not how it looks. This is just a reminder. These are the levels of mistaken behavior. Level 1 is experimental, where children are trying things out to see what happens. Level 2 is a socially influenced mistaken behavior, where children are intentionally or unintentionally influenced by others and can be influenced by others outside of the classroom as well. An example could be hearing their parents swear or the neighbor children using inappropriate language and then children using that language within the classroom. Level 3, the strong needs behavior. This is the most serious of the levels of mistaken behavior. Often results in unmet emotional or physical needs, almost always hurting to the child or himself or others. These children tend to be non-social or at times even antisocial. It's important for teachers to work on building positive relationships and building partnerships with families with children in the level 3 mistaken behavior. So this is something we haven't looked at before. This is the levels of violence Remember, it's normal for children to imitate what they see. That's how children learn. They act out and they imitate what they see on TV, on video games, or at home. They act out those things in their play. This means that children act out some of the images that they may see in media, as well as the violent acts that they may see at home or in their communities. Remember, it is normal for children to imitate what they see, meaning that they will act out some of the images, some of the violent acts, and children will turn things like bananas or Legos into guns and engage in rough and tumble play with not only puppets, action figures, and dolls, but with their peers as well. It is up to the adults in children's lives to help them understand socially acceptable ways of interacting with others. But we also know that children are learning through these experiences. So how much of level 1 listed on this slide is acceptable? How much do we allow in our centers or our classrooms? And then moving to level 2, which represents a more adverse version of acting out violent media, these behaviors are worrisome and require guidance. When children are engaging in level 3 mistaken behavior and are acting out in violent ways, they need intervention, and that involves caring practitioners who are well prepared to manage crisis situations with children. What will you do when a child cannot regain their composure on their own? We must be prepared. It is up to us, the adults in children's lives, to help them understand, again, that socially acceptable way of interacting with others. If you have a no tolerance policy or you do not allow children to explore these ideas, those are things that you have to really determine or examine on your own. What's acceptable for you? What is allowable in your classroom? Level 2 represents a more adverse version of acting out violent media. When this happens in your classroom, what will be your response? Mistaken behavior levels 1 and 2 are common in children who are influenced directly by background violence. Background violence is violence on the media, what we see on TV, possibly on the radio, and on video games. Unfortunately, we can't go into a family's home and change the channel or turn the TV off or climb in their car and change the radio station or turn the music off, but we can empower parents and families to make appropriate media decisions for their children. We can help educate families, but we first have to be educated ourselves. Mistaken behavior, level 3, this level where children that are directly victimized by violence in their home or their community, results with children who need intervention immediately. These children need our support, and their families need access to mental health care, access to professionals that can help them make sense out of what they're experiencing in their environment. I hope this is giving you pause for thought. It's not necessarily providing solutions, but it is providing us a framework that we can work in when we are working with children who are exposed to violence, whether in their communities, their families, or the media that they are interacting with. You know, what is our response? Are we the practitioner that come alongside children and families to help them understand how these different situations are impacting them, and then how we can learn from them and move forward?